Hello, you guys. Happy Thursday. Welcome back to the Fumble Live. Hopefully, we have no ghost noise. Oh, no, we did get a ghost noise today. There was one. I don't know
That
who
was
all
me.
heard it. Today it was Chris. You guys, we are getting into the latest sports news. We're talking about the dragging that Drew Brees got, among other topics. So subscribe, tap the bell, give this video a like, leave a comment below, and share it with your friends so we can grow the Fumble fam. And now, here is the Fumble Squad. I'm Devin Howard. You can find me on Instagram as @DevinHoward. Chris?
It's your boy Chris and his water bottle that fell that made that sound. You find me anywhere at CK2K.
Well, at least it's not a ghost. And I'm Jackie Ray. You can find me everywhere at JRay the Fanatic.
Hey guys, it's Britt. You can follow me on all social media at I am Britt Johnson.
All right, you guys, so before we jump into the need to know news, a little update from something we were talking about yesterday and something that we've been talking about in most of our live shows. The NBA has officially been approved to come back on July 31st. That's next month. I am so excited. So the plan is for the series to take place in Orlando starting on July 31st, like I mentioned, with Game 7 on October 12th. The vote was 29-1 in favor of this plan, and the only team that was not in favor was the Portland Trail Blazers. So really quickly, I just want to get your thoughts on this exciting update. Chris, what do you think about it?
I'm excited. You know, I know everyone's looking at me like, hey, your Knicks didn't make it. Look, I'm just glad it was basketball. So I'm excited that we finally have a date on it. We also did get a date on when the lottery would be, because that is pertaining to my team. That would be August 25th, and the draft would be October 15th. So I'm excited. I'm just glad basketball's back. So I'm hyped.
Me too. It's next month. I love that. Jackie, what are your thoughts?
I'm excited about it. I saw that. I literally just found out right before we came on that the vote was 29-1. The one vote I thought would be the Knicks, but it wasn't. So yeah, no, I'm
both.
good with it. I'm excited about it, though. I think it's great, and I think it's gonna relieve some stress because we've been missing out. So yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, and then Britt, I know you must be feeling really good. The Clippers are going to get their shot to win the finals. So what do you think?
I'm excited. I think it was interesting that the Trailblazers were the one vote that decided against it, considering Danny was so upset that he might not get a chance to actually play for a playoff spot, but now they do have that opportunity. So I'm surprised that their organization was the one, even because they're one of the teams that do have an option to now make the playoffs. So I was kind of surprised that they voted against that.
Yeah, I'd love to hear their reasoning behind that, but for now, we are just going to be focusing on the fact that the NBA is resuming their season. So get ready, you guys, July 31st. So exciting. Now, let's jump into the big controversy from yesterday. Obviously, Drew Brees said that he could not support anything that disrespects the flag, which we all agreed was quite silly of him, and he was dragged by major athletes like LeBron James. We've got Steven Jackson, who posted a harsh video about it, Malcolm Jenkins, whose emotional video really hit me hard, and there were fans across the country that were saying things to him. So now Drew Brees has officially issued an apology. He said, quote, "I would like to apologize to my friends, teammates, the city of New Orleans, the community, the NFL community, and anyone I hurt with my comments yesterday. It breaks my heart to know the pain I have caused. In an attempt to talk about respect, unity, and solidarity centered around the American flag and the national anthem, I made comments that were insensitive and completely missed the mark on the issues that we're facing right now as a country." He admits that he lacked awareness and empathy and compassion, and then he said, quote, "I stand with the Black community in the fight against systemic racial injustice and police brutality and support the creation of real policy change that will make a difference." Now, here's one thing, Jackie, I want to ask your thoughts on this specific statement. He also said, "I recognize that I am part of the solution and can be a leader for the Black community in this movement." So, Jackie, I feel like I know what you're going to say about that, but what do you think about that specific statement? Is he correct in thinking that he can be a leader for the Black community, or is that like a white saviorism mentality at its best?
I mean, unless he's going to lead his way to kissing my entire, never mind, let me rephrase. Let me rephrase. No, he is not a leader for the Black community. He Lord Jesus help me. I'm trying so hard to keep my job right now. No, that is definitely like a slave master coming out and saying, you know what, slaves, I'm gonna lead you down this way to pick some more cotton. If that's what he meant, then maybe. But I think that his statements are blasphemous for you to say that, hey, first of all, let me just go on record and say emphatically that once I learned my history, I wasn't entirely sure why we as Black people ever stood for the national anthem. But for you to say that a piece of fabric is what was more important to you than watching a man plead for his life for 8 minutes, and now you want to co-sign on a song that was written by a racist, go straight to hell, man. Like, I have no love for this man at all. None.
Yeah.
You ain't leading a thing over here. Nothing. Except, Chris, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, Chris, I actually had a specific question for you. He concluded his apology by asking for forgiveness. Does he even deserve it?
Look, I'll tell you one thing. I probably, if you guys did not know in the audience, I am also the editor for this channel. So I learned a lot more about what he said in his statement from editing than I did actually reading it, because when I saw the 2 lines that I saw, that's when I immediately just said, all right, he missed the mark, and I knew he was going to. So no, he does not get my apology. I will admit, I'm still hurt. It's not hurt that, he said the things. It's just hurt that, somebody that I had so much. This guy was one of the dudes that ushered football into me, because like I said, I didn't watch football till late, and when I started becoming a Saints fan the following year, they picked him up. So it's more disappointment than hurt, I should say. So to find out his true colors, I'm glad that I did. And no, I don't think he warrants any apology. I'm sure that there's going to be players, at least on his team, that are going to try to accept his apology, but it's hopefully the fan base, and including myself, I don't accept it over here. I'm sorry.
Here's the thing, though. Here's where some of my frustration comes from too, is because we've already made an allowance for this man. We already made an allowance.
That's what I'm saying.
He said these all life matters comments with Colin Kaepernick. We made an allowance because we, as Saints fans, and some people who I know aren't even Saints fans, just true Drew Brees fans. They like who he is. They like what they think he stands for. Everyone knows that he's the leader of that city. We already made an allowance for you. I don't care that you wrote this little mini novel. We not making no more allowances. He needs to go. I agree 100% with Shannon Sharp that he needs to retire immediately. We are done.
Yeah. There was actually a fake tweet going around yesterday that I fell for briefly that said he did retire, citing personal safety reasons for his fake. But that probably would have been a good move, to be honest. So, Britt, I want to ask you: do you feel that his apology just came out of the fact that he did get so much backlash? Do you think that there's any sincerity in that at all?
No. The man said what he said. And part of being in the community in New Orleans, you're around a lot of Black people all the time. You know better than that. Your team that you're with is 75% Black. So you know better than to say the comments that you said. You're a grown man. You're not some young guy that doesn't really understand or can't comprehend stuff. You've been in the league for a long time. You're in your mid-30s now. Like, you already know what you know better than that, So I don't know. I don't feel any. I mean, I said a lot of what I said yesterday, and after I got off the show yesterday, trending on Twitter was #DamnDrew. Because we all kind of expected a little bit better. Obviously, like, it's fine to have different views than other people or have your own belief. That is okay, but this was not the moment, like Malcolm Jenkins ended up saying, that wasn't the moment to express that. Steven Jackson kind of said the same thing too. Like, now's not the time, like, if you want to personally believe that, fine. But to say that and let everybody know that, I mean, I guess it's almost better because now we see your true colors. But I mean, we've all known stuff that you've said in the past. We all know that you're a Trump supporter and this, that, and the third and whatever. So I think people continue to let you be you and have your beliefs because it wasn't negatively affecting the community. But that statement right there negatively affected a lot of people. And I think that's where the line gets drawn.
Yeah, and I feel like it detracts from the issues and the actual things that are going on right now, the movements and the change that people are fighting for. Yeah, it was tone deaf. Yeah. It was poorly timed, and I think he deserves all the dragging that he can get. I want to get into this update about Aaron Rodgers. He's one of the athletes who, it's pretty obvious he did not appreciate Drew's comments. He posted a picture of himself and his teammates locking arms during the national anthem a few years ago, and in the caption he wrote, "A few years ago, we were criticized for locking arms in solidarity before the game. It has never been about an anthem or a flag. Not then, not now. Listen with an open heart. Let's educate ourselves and then turn words and thoughts into action." So it's really hard to believe that this message is not like a direct reaction to what Drew said, and I applaud Aaron Rodgers for posting about this. I think it's a strong message. CJ McCollum also chimed in, tweeting, "We need more Aaron Rodgers and less Drew Brees. Ignorance is not an excuse. You have to hand off the ball and throw to those same teammates you refuse to stand up for." I loved that tweet. So, Britt, do you feel that Aaron did post this as a reaction to what Drew said, or was he just on his own mission to show his support and solidarity with the Black community?
We all know Aaron Rodgers is very timely with his stuff. Same thing when he, after the draft, when he kind of posted what he posted, we all knew it was in direct response to what happened during the NFL draft. And I think this is in the same thing. He definitely made that directed at Drew, and he definitely made a statement by, as a leading one of the top quarterbacks in the league, like Drew Brees and Tom Brady and all of those guys are, like, he wanted to make sure he was going to be on the right side and say what, Drew should have said, in that moment. And I'm not clapping and patting anybody on the back for doing anything, because really you're just doing what you're supposed to and what you should be doing. But yeah, that's a good move. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. So when I was looking at the responses to CJ's tweet, I noticed a lot of people saying, like, it's Drew's opinion. He's entitled to his opinion. You don't have to agree with anything that he says or everything that he says. So, Chris, what would you say back to those kinds of people and what they're saying?
Well, those kinds of people are also in Drew's comment section for the apology he put today too. They're all over the place. Look, I don't have words for those people, because people are. All I see is ignorance, and that is just them joining the same. I don't have words for them. I'm going to keep it at that. That's all I'll say to that.
Well, Jackie, I do.
Go ahead, please. By all means, please.
Those people who are saying that this is his opinion are the reason why this country is imploding under racial tension. It's because for so long they have made excuses when they see people of color going through systematic racism. They have made excuses. They continue to make excuses. I'm watching y'all in the comments right now making excuses, and I am telling you, you are part of the problem. And if you continue to be part of the problem, at some point it will become a powder keg and it will explode. So you either stand down from your racist thought process, or you follow the course, and what happens, happens.
Yes. Amen, Jackie. Amen. I think that there's a difference between being entitled to an opinion that you have and having an opinion that oppresses or mistreats an entire group of people. So be on the right side of history. You should be a progressive person and believe in equality. Like, that's just a fundamental human right. Let's get into the final story. Lonzo just shared a new song, and it's called Don't Shoot Me. It addresses police brutality after the death of George Floyd at the hands of Minneapolis cops. So he doesn't actually rap a verse on the song. Liangelo does, and I'll play that for you in a second. But first, I want to play you the hook where Lonzo is singing. So, Leo, if you could throw that clip up there for us.
Don't shoot me, don't shoot, officer, don't shoot me, don't shoot me. I promise I can.
So we can only play a short clip for you, but that's Lonzo singing. He talks to he's, begging the officer not to shoot. He says that he has a family, he has a little girl at home, and then the song just goes into lyrics all about police brutality. And Liangelo also had a verse on the song, so we're going to play that clip for you right now. Leo, can you throw it up there?
Breaking us off from by one, this shit cruelty. How we supposed to stay calm when they treat us like target practice? We don't.
So you guys, Fumble Squad, I want to hear your thoughts. Sorry, they had to be so short. We're limited.
I'm like,
on
wait,
the
what
numbers.
happened?
So let's just go in order here. Britt, can you start off, and then Jackie and Chris?
I don't know what you want me to say. I mean, it's
Right.
not like some like Tupac kind of thing. I don't know. It's a song, I guess. I don't know if they're. I'm gonna say what Chris said earlier. I'm not gonna say nothing. I don't have anything to say. Good job,
Jackie. Do you like the song? Do you think it's a good song? Does it push a good message? Where do you stand on it?
I don't personally like the song because I just don't think musically it's that good. But I also understand that they're pushing a specific message that to a group of people who do like that sound. So perhaps it's good in that sense because they can relate to it and they can appreciate it for what it is. So in that aspect, I think it's okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Chris.
I tried real hard right there. I tried.
No,
real
because that's the
hard.
facts. Like I'm just not.
Come on.
I'm just not in, that's not my sound. That's not for me. I get what they're trying to do. Cool. I listened to Jello's verse. Jello actually snapped off a little bit, but I mean, yeah, that's not directed for me. But hey, man, song is out. The production was solid. The rest of it was, it was there.
Okay, cool. I didn't want to be the one to say that it's not a song that I'd typically put on to like jam out to, but I think that the lyrics and the message are valuable. And I think that there is a group of people that will really enjoy it and get something out of it. And I think that it's cool that they, had, strong lyrics like that. But anyway, you guys, that wraps up Need to Know News. So let's take it into the post up.
Yes, it is time for the post up with your boy Chris, and yes, we're going to continue a little bit into this Drew Brees thing because that was all that was going on yesterday, and I'm glad to see that players from the Saints actually were some of the first ones to actually stand up, primarily Michael Thomas, but there was a lot of responses from everyone around I was just in the sports space. Of course, everybody had something to say, but in the sports verse, all athletes and everything, everyone had something to say. And I felt like Drew Brees deserved every bit of what he got from what people had to say. You heard Devin talk about what Malcolm Jenkins said. To me, that was probably the message that meant a lot to me. I was looking for, I said yesterday, I was waiting to hear what he was going to have to say, because I knew that a majority of the reason that he came back to the Saints was because of Drew Brees, and they had a connection. And for something like this to then come out, and we know that Malcolm Jenkins has been somebody that's been, fighting for everything that's been going on right now for a long period of time. So I really connected with what he had to say. Also, Steven Jackson said some great stuff. But I want to go into some of the stuff that his teammates came out and said. These are just a few of them. I want to start off with Michael Thomas, who he said two things. The first one he put out was he don't know no better. That was a subtweet. Obviously, he was talking to Drew Brees. A lot of people in the comments were thinking that he was still talking about what we were talking about last week with him and DeAndre Hopkins. People missing the mark right there is crazy. He then also did retweet a statement from Mike Freeman, who said, "How can anyone watch George Floyd get murdered and their first response when asked about it is respect the flag?" I'm reading it how he typed it. That's how he typed it. So I'm reading like that. This one's about me. And then this next one comes from Alvin Kamara, his running back. Just simply said, "Oop." And I responded, it's a very big oop. And then his newest teammate, Emmanuel Sanders, we finally get some help. And now we get situations like this. And he's not wrong when he said SMH ... ignorant. That's facts. Now, like I said, there are other people that are still saying stuff from the team, but those are the ones I want to highlight. But I also want to highlight other people outside of the team that had a lot of points to be made, a lot of strong opinions. And to me, that like I said, we're dead on. Starting with somebody who we've been talking about a lot on the show for the past week is Tobias Harris, who simply put out a tweet saying, after everything going on, past and present, if this is still Drew Brees' mindset, please don't send out an apology tomorrow. Spare your PR team the time. Well, once again, Tobias, so no one listened to you because the apology did come out today, and you were dead on because they did not do a great job with that apology. And if it was done with the PR team, I'm not sure how far that PR team is going to go with Drew Brees. But hey, I saw this before the apology came out. I mean, we all knew the apology was going to come out. Somebody of that magnitude has to attempt to make an apology, and like we all said earlier, didn't hit the mark. On to the next one. I wanted to point out this video by Ed Reed, who, just like I said earlier with like Malcolm Jackson, Ed Reed just hit it on the head with this video. For any moms or youngins out there watching, it's Ed Reed, so I apologize, but here's the video.
Drew Brees, you're a straight sucker, man. You're a sucker for that, bro. Why you think all these young people out here protesting? Why you think they out here protesting? The looting, I can see you speaking on the looting and saying that's bad, you don't support that. But why you think all these young people out here protesting? I really ain't got no more words for you, bro. You're a sucker, man. Straight BS, man.
Oh, that's right. Okay. I wasn't sure if I got it after when he censored himself, so I did. Okay, so I take my apology back. Everything he said in there, factuals. I was because Ed Reed liked power, so I thought. Anyways, so yeah, Ed Reed killed that. Complete agreement with everything he said there. Also in agreement with Richard Sherman, who had some. I like Richard Sherman's tweet. He put out a tweet, and I don't have the GIF on there, but it was that GIF. You guys know that GIF. But Richard Sherman tweeted out, he's beyond lost. Guarantee you there were black men fighting alongside your grandfather, but this doesn't seem to be about that. That uncomfortable conversation you are trying to avoid by injecting military into a conversation about brutality and equality is part of the problem. I think it's just as black and white as that. And I think that's obviously that is the biggest issue with this whole thing. Is just you can tell that Drew Brees tried. Oh gosh. Anyways, there's way more beyond these ones that I pointed out, and a lot of them we talked about LeBron James too. That's also in the video. Like I said, after this live, go and check out that first video that Devin had put out with those responses. And like I said, it's unfortunate because of who I thought he was, and here he is with this. And I can't say that I'm I disagree with any of the responses he's getting. Everything he's getting is warranted and deserved, and I will be very surprised, very, very surprised if he does make it past the preseason. And with that, I give you the next one. Is coming from Zadarius Smith, who is a linebacker for the Packers, who is looking forward to a game against my Saints on week 3. And look, like I just said, I don't think he's going to make it. I don't think he's going to get through the preseason without something happening, whether it comes down to the Saints are being forced to not play him, or if he's released, something comes up. I will be very, very surprised if he does end up making it to week 1 he plays. And like Jackie said pre-show, if it does come to this where he does play, I am all set for an 0-16 season. If we win any games, cool, but I will not be upset if I see this team lose 0-16 with him playing quarterback. And if week 3 comes up and Darius Smith goes on and does some Greg Williams type stuff, I'm going to be like, well, saw that coming. I'm not going to have any feelings about it. But hey, we'll see what happens with that. That's just how I personally feel about that. And I think I'm not alone with that, because it seems like he has also lost New Orleans on top of everything that's been going on, as to be expected, because there were chants going on during a protest yesterday following the comment that had come out with Yahoo, where there was chants in New Orleans that sounded a lot like this.
Drew Brees, fuck Drew Brees, fuck Drew Brees, fuck Drew Brees, fuck.
So we know that the Saints play in arguably the loudest stadium in the NFL, and for your sake, there will be no fans, or not for your sake, but luckily for you, there will not be any fans in that stadium, because it would be a rough 16 games that you would most likely deserve. But again, there will be no fans in stadium, and if they were, it would sound a lot like what you just heard with those chants. Now to lighten up the mood a little bit, Britt, I don't take this as just me coming at you with like this ain't me coming at you. This is just a video I saw that I found pretty funny, and it just so happens to pertain your Cowboys. But we were talking about Philly, and there was the protest going on there. There were some nights where there was looting. Well, there was a video captured of a building that was looted, but not everything was taken. Can we play that video, please?
They bust the Rent Center wide open. These dudes took everything. Look what they left. The one Cowboy sofa. They left the Cowboy Lazy Boy recliner and a lamp. Philly boys, you guys are not nice, boy. I tell you.
That's dope.
I would expect nothing less from Philadelphia.
Right,
let me tell you that.
Exactly.
I wonder if
I
they
just
went
love how
and
he broke
started
it
licking
down.
horse shit after that, like they did when they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, look, that makes no sense. I don't care how happy you are about victory. That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. But no, I just love how you broke it down to the left, lazy boy and the lamp. I just thought that was funny.
That is
hilarious. Hilarious post there on that one. I, like Britt said, expect no different from Philadelphia. Going on to this next one, we go back and forth with Ayesha Curry with her things that she says in the public eye, or how she's been perceived in the public eye more so. But this one, I gotta say, she had a very solid point with this one. Yesterday, her and Steph were seen marching with the protesters you see in this picture, and after the fact, Ayesha Curry had posted a caption, a very long caption. I'm not going to read the entire thing, but I'm going to summarize through the parts to get her point across. But she was talking about the fact that the protest that they were in, the march they were in, was going down the same street where the celebration and the parades that were going on for that same Golden State Warriors, and the attendance was very different for the protest compared to the parade. So Ayesha Curry said, "Today was filled with many emotions. On one hand, I was overwhelmed with happiness to see my community show up yet again to fight for what is right. I witnessed people from all different backgrounds peacefully protesting, people out for a jog or walk, noticing the crowd and putting their own needs on pause to join the cause and march with us. The time is always right to do what's right." Martin Luther King Jr. Is what comes to mind. Now here's the turn. "My happiness then became overshadowed with immense sadness and disbelief. I began to come to the realization that we were walking the same streets, the same path and course that we've taken time and time again for the championship parades, celebrating victory, streets lined with hundreds of thousands of fans cheering on and congratulating, many and most of whom are Black men. People show up and show out for these moments. While I was appreciative and proud of the crowd that showed to march for justice today, I couldn't help but wonder where all of these people were now, that just a few years before lined and covered the streets to celebrate in these Black men's successes. Now when Black people need an assist, defense, a team, where is everyone? Where is everyone? I want to encourage everyone to keep up however you can and keep showing up." And she continued on that, but I think she brings up a very good point with that. The Bay they were very quick to go and celebrate those teams that were winning. Like she said, predominantly Black teams in the Golden State Warriors for each of their championships. And for a situation like this, not the same same crowd didn't show up for these marches. So I want to come to you first, Britt, for someone as someone who was in protest here in LA. Do you think that this is do you think she's on point for making the comparison of the two and calling out the Bay Area, not just the fans, but people in the Bay Area, for not keeping the same energy for something as important as this?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I just wrote it in the chat, and we've talked about it and people have mentioned it several times over social media throughout the last week, that a lot of times people only care about Black lives when it benefits them. And I talked about that when we were talking about the head coaches for all these NCAA Power 5 schools, how, they're with their boys and with whatever during those times, but when they need them back, they're not there to support them. So I think this was a good thing to mention and to realize. There was another protest yesterday in LA, in downtown LA. And I mean,
Right.
Same thing. There were a lot of people there, but like even in comparison to, and I don't really want to compare it to this, but like when Kobe passed away, there were way more people out there when Kobe passed away, but Kobe Bryant was first a Black man, second an athlete. So I believe that it's like interesting to see that like, oh, we'll care about you when you're winning us championships and when you're doing this, that, and the third, but when it's your actual life on the line, we're going to just sit this one out, So I think it's like, it's really sad to obviously see those moments, but it's very real. And I think that was a good thing that she pointed that out, because this is kind of something we've been noticing and been talking about the past week. And then for her and Steph being an athlete who did go down those same, streets on a, bus getting celebrated for. And then in this moment when it's like, well, now I'm asking you guys to come here and help save our lives. And then not even a quarter of the people show up. I didn't see the full crowd of what theirs looked like. I know there was a lot of people yesterday in LA, which was great, but it wasn't in comparison to, championship parades or even Kobe Bryant's passing, which happened earlier this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and like you said, I think it was that was something I wouldn't have even thought of, because she's 100% correct on that. And you bringing up that, and yes, to compare it to a sad moment, but it's very real, because for the morning that you saw everything overflowing, and to the point where people had to block certain parts out because there's so many people out there for something like that. I think that's a good comparison too, as sad of a comparison as it is. Devin, I just want to ask you real quick: do you see that a comment like this coming from Ayesha Curry? You think that this will be perceived the right way from people in the Bay, or do you think that this is just going to be something that's going to be heard, but then nothing's going to be done of it? I'm just going to particularly go to the Bay in this scenario, because I'm sure there's going to be more protests out there.
Do I think people are going to listen to what Ayesha says and come out and show their support?
Right. Yes. Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, I don't really know. I don't know that Ayesha holds that much weight over whether or not people will be going out and showing their support for the Black Lives Matter movement, or, going to these protests just because Ayesha is encouraging them to. I mean, maybe some people will, but I think that people should just be motivated to go of their own volition because they care and they want to be part of a, game-changing moment in history. Hopefully that's what this is. So I think it's fine that she posted and that she's encouraging people to go out and get involved, but I'm not sure that it's going to change anything. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. No, yeah, that's how I feel about it too. I think that she brings up a good point, but I'm just curious to see how much of a change it's going to make for some of the people that are up there in the Bay. But we'll see how that turns out. But I thought that was a good point. Something that I honestly I wasn't even putting the two together, but that's huge for her. And also shout out to Klay Thompson too. Klay Thompson was out there too. I saw him kneeling. We all know the injury he had, but he's out there doing it like it's all bigger than all those kind of things, sports and stuff. So shout out to him to be out there as well. Next up, we have, oh my goodness, it's just these we're talking about these important things, and next thing you know, Britt, take this. But I got another one. We got a Dak meme, ladies and gentlemen.
You're coming back at me for busting Drew out yesterday. I get it.
But the thing is, I'm not even mad at you for it. Because
we co-signed on it.
Yeah, right. I'm not even mad at you with it, but at the same time, you did bring up something though that a lot of other people may or may not agree with you with. Although I do agree with what and I'm talking about the Dak donation. I do agree with what it should do. I'm just not sure if it will do what we think it should do. And a lot of people on Twitter feel the same way, coming from this tweet right here, who made a nice little Dak meme saying, Dak, I pledge $1 million to police retraining and ending racism, the Dallas PD. A Lambo police car. Oh, is it not up? Oh, can we get the tweet? Oh, I didn't even see the tweet. There it is. Look, there it is. That I pledged $1 million, please. Yes, and then Dallas PD. That is the thought of a lot of people, and they're thinking that the money is not going to be used for what it should be used for because of, well, the reason why people are protesting now. So I think that's my thing. I agree with what you said yesterday, Brett. I think that is what it should do. I like it because it is a step. I just hope that is what it's actually done for, and only time will tell with that. I don't want to take up too much time, and I got one last one. Shout out to my boy Damian Dotson, New York Knicks guard. You guys probably have no idea who the hell this dude is. Understandable, but with the ruling officially being in today that we are going to have basketball July 31st. Well, with the 22 teams that are going to Orlando, there are 8 teams that will not be, including my Knicks. But some of these 8 teams in recent days, there's athletes and people and fan bases that are coming out that are pretty upset. Now, Knicks fans, we're upset for a different reason. It has nothing to do with the fact that we think we could have been in playoffs, even though we have better records than some of these other teams that are upset. We're just upset because we want to lose more games so we can get LaMelo Ball. That's why we're upset. But there are some very crazy fans like Detroit and Atlanta fans that really believe that they had a chance. And mind you, like I said, they have worse records than the Knicks. So they're out there. There's fans in Detroit that I'm seeing, and even Christian Wood, who is a player of the Pistons, that are upset that they're not being invited because they felt like that with Blake Griffin, who was coming back from injury, they could have made a push and they could have been up there and possibly got the 8th seed. And then Atlanta fans who were like, oh, Trae Young, all-star Trae Young was playing so much better after he came up. You guys were on a 5-game losing streak. Your 5th game coming to the New York Knicks. So it's just crazy to me that all these fan bases and stuff like that were so upset about this. I feel like it makes sense. If you weren't good in the season, did you really expect that you're going to be in there? Like, and this is coming from a Knicks fan. Like, I'm not surprised by this. But anyways, all that being said, Damian Dotson is he's out here making sure that he has something to do, because pretty much there's the Knicks and all these other teams that didn't get in, they won't be playing basketball for close to 9 months from the time that it ended in March till when the NBA possibly comes back on Christmas. So Damian Dotson tweeted, yo, to my fellow NBA guys who will not be in Orlando, if you guys are doing anything around the community or business ventures that I can be a part of, hit me up. I'm down. We have plenty of time to find different crafts. Hashtag whole team Dot. So I love that. I think it's dope. Shout out to Dot. The reason why I have such a love for him is I think he's a good player as well. Unfortunately, we don't like to play him because we have very stupid front offices and coaching decisions. But on top of that, he's always been one to be there for the community. Like, I've talked to him on several occasions, and B, give back. And whether it is to where he's from in Houston, whether it is in New York, he's always one that's always trying to give back. So seeing something like this is dope. I do also hope that there is some basketball integrated with those new crafts. But all that being said, shout out to Dot on that for not complaining on the situation. Might be some shade, but no complaints there. But that's all I got for Post Up today.
All right. Thank you so much, Chris. And now, Jackie, can you take us right on into WTF?
Yes. Let's get, as you guys can imagine, all of this is centered around Drew Brees because WTF. So I personally am just flat out disgusted with Drew. I can't even really imagine why he thinks we would give him a pass and why we would accept his apology. He's been blatant with the fact that he's been consorting with a racist leader in 45. He's made these types of statements before. I'm not entirely sure where he's at with that. I'm still personally stuck on the whole, my grandpas and great grandpas, and they fought in these wars, especially when I know as a Black person that my grandfather, my great grandfather fought in the same war, but your great grandfathers probably either looked away or maybe even took part in them being snatched off the bus and lynched when they came back. And his comments just overlooked that entire portion of history. And then to know that, like I said, he could watch a man beg for his life for 8 minutes, and then his priority is a flag, which is a piece of fabric, and a song that was written by a racist. I just can't. I'm personally over it. I'm personally over every single person in this country who thinks that way. So I agree with Shannon Sharp. Shannon Sharp said this on Undisputed. He said, what makes the Black man's fight so hard is people like Drew Brees. If you can't If you can't get a guy who grew up with black kids in the locker room from Pee Wee, high school, college, and the NFL to understand our plight, then who will? At this point, it's not about understanding. If you don't understand, you're intentionally trying not to understand. You simply don't care. And you could watch another 100 black men beg for their lives for 8 minutes and you'll be fine with it. And that's what's troubling to me. I believe their teammates should double down on it. They should get him out of that locker room. Or like Chris and I were talking about before the show, like, I'm not guarding for you, bruh. Like, I'm going to usher in the biggest man to knock you down if I can. So Diane from ESPN, she said she reached out to some Saint players about quarterback Drew Brees' comments. Many don't want to give quotes to the media at this time. I'm told there is a plan for a team meeting to discuss this in-house. I think we've kind of heard that meeting has already taken place, but we don't know what has kind of come from that. Chris and I both agree that I would rather go 0-16 for the next 2 years than to see this man win anything, than to see him even get a
100%.
shot at a Super Bowl. I am fine with that. But what I am not going to do is I am not going to let y'all tell me that he can have this opinion, because his opinion is why this happens all the time. And if you are co-signing on his opinion, you are co-signing on letting this status quo remain the same. And please don't fall for that apology where he says, I can be the leader of the black community. You can't even understand why a man is begging for his life. And boy, bye. I can't even, oh, Jesus. Okay. So anyway, as far as the looting and stuff, Chris posted the gentleman that said if you were talking about the looting and all that, I don't agree with that either. I think that we are in a country that was founded on racism. It was built on slavery, and the racism continues. And if it needs to burn down, that's just what it is. I think we have the most hypocritical nation on the planet. For example, we have the NFL on Fox. We have Undisputed on Fox, but Fox will let this born-again, dog-haired bobblehead go on the news day in and day out and say inflammatory things. You remember her. But that's okay, Leo. I call her Laura Klanman. I think her name is actually Ingram, but I call her Laura Klanman. She's the moron who said KD and LeBron should shut up and dribble. So she also had this to say. Technically, she should say Drew Brees should shut up and pass. But do you think she said that? Do you? Let's see what she said.
Allowed to have his view about what kneeling and the flag means to him. I mean, he's a person. He has some worth, I would imagine. I mean, this is beyond football, though. This is totalitarian conduct. This is Stalinist. And by the way, on the streets of New Orleans, we're looking at live pictures. They're shouting "F Drew Brees." Wow. That's what this moment has done to the beautiful team spirit of the New Orleans Saints. This
is a great example of why our country is the way that it is. And they go on to say that Drew Brees doesn't deserve this because he's a good man. He's a leader in the community. And more importantly, he is a Christian man. And I went in the comments and I heard several people say that, like we were dragging him because he's a Christian who believes in America. First of all, let me just say this. Chris, I'm going to get to you too. If we can pull him up. But before we say that, I've seen this comment a lot, especially in regards to Drew Brees, because he is open with his Christianity. I am not religious in any way, shape, form, or fashion, but I would like to remind you that the slave owners were Christians. Klansmen are Christian. And if you're going to use Christianity as your defense, please read Ecclesiastes. And Ecclesiastes 3 specifically. And if you don't know what that says, look it up, because in a minute, it's going to be a different time. And that scripture will tell you exactly what time. But Chris, I don't even know what to say. The fact that she got so many positive comments underneath this tweet where she was saying, yes, he can think this way, that we are totalitarianists and Stalin-like for thinking differently. And then the only people who seem to come against her look like you and I don't know. That put me in a different place. How are you feeling about this?
It was just so convenient how the very first line, at least in that clip, was that this was bigger than football. I cannot believe it. Look, yeah, no, the whole thing is crazy. And like you said, there's so many people, and we talked about earlier, and you killed it, because I could not, and I did not want to go into how I really feel about it. I do apologize about that, but because the ignorance is just, it's so damn tiring. And if, like Ed Reed said, if you cannot clearly see the reason why we are going through what we are going through right now, the protests that are going on right now, the outrage that's going on right now, even on social media. I don't care if it's somebody, the fact that people are sharing and talking about these videos, retweeting these videos, retweeting all these things going on. If you are still going to be in a place where you cannot see the reason behind that, and you are going to sit there and try and defend someone like this who is deflecting from the matter at hand, I have nothing for you anymore. You are the problem. You're not even part of the problem. You are the problem. So for her to then just come on and just to have that very first line, like, I didn't even get to the rest because that very first line, we had to sit there and tell LeBron and Kevin Durant that to shut. Insane. That network is something special, boy.
It is. It's what, like I said, it's the most hypocritical thing in the world. Because on one hand, you're gonna let Shannon say what he says. On Sundays, we're gonna watch football. That's 70% black. But every chance you get, you let Laura Klanman get out there and say the most Klan-like things. I don't understand this world that we live in. But to my fellow Saints fan, let's take a deep breath and let's move on to let's move on to someone else who, because I know what she's about to talk about, and he gets no love from me either. But let's move on to Brit's takes.
Brit's takes.
So I had like several, maybe like 3 or 4 Brit's takes today that I wanted to talk about. But when I saw our docket for today and saw that Chris was going to be mentioning the Daks stuff, and I actually had a big argument with a friend last night about this. I was like, you know what? I think I need to finish this conversation before I move on to something else. So obviously people came for Dak Prescott after he pledged $1 million to improve police training and address systematic racism through education and advocacy in our country. As Chris did in the post up, you know, people kind of started going in on Dak on social media, basically saying he's giving money to the cops and not for his people. And, you know, I read all the stuff yesterday because when I mentioned it in Brit's Take yesterday, it had just happened. So I didn't really get to go through comments and kind of look at what, you know, the people's opinion is and what they thought of it. But I sat with it. I like to sit with stuff sometimes because I get heated in moments. I get whatever. So I sat with it a little bit and obviously argued with some of my friends about it a little bit. And I want to point out, I do think it's very interesting how in the Black community a lot, everyone has kind of the same agenda. Like we all have an idea of we want equality, we want justice, but obviously we differ with the ways people want to get there. There's people that believe in like, you know, let's burn it all down. There's people that are just like, oh, let's peacefully protest. There's people that like, oh, let's get out there and vote. There's a different, you know, there's a different group for like everything. But at the end of the day, it's all, we want justice, we want equality and all of that stuff. Like, you know, like I talked about it last week, all the differences we see with like, oh, well, some people are like, oh, MLK way, or some people are like Malcolm X way. And I just kind of thought it was crazy to like, it's not one way or the other. We all have the same agenda. We all want the same thing to happen at the end of the day. And I believe we need a little bit of everything. You know, everybody needs a voice in this community, and everybody does stuff differently and has different ways of contributing to the community. So obviously police saw the first part of that, which was police training. They saw the $1 million and they saw police training. And most people didn't read past that, which was, I think, the most important part of the donation and what he was donating to. And that was to address systematic racism through education and advocacy in our country. This money is not just, it's not like, oh, let's donate to cops pension now, or let's do all of this kind of stuff. Yesterday, the march or the protest downtown LA was to speak directly to Jackie Lacey, who has not prosecuted any cops for killing Black and brown lives. And it also was to kind of talk about the funding that the police were getting and the large amount of funding that they get in comparison to, you know, our education systems, our healthcare, or whatever the case is in the city of Los Angeles. So I do agree the police do get too much money, especially in the city of Los Angeles. It's more than like 68% of our budget goes to the police. And I do agree that police, we should not be putting money in police's pensions, and we should not have any police officer doing overtime at all. I went and looked at a lot of the chunk of that money, and it went into police overtime. I don't believe any cop should do overtime, because this is a high stress, and nobody should go into their job after they're already tired and already overworked, because that's when we see issues of agitation and things that we see now. I'm not saying that's the only way. That's just an example of stuff like that happening. Anybody who's overworked is going to start getting agitated. And when you have a gun on your hip, that's not a good thing for you. So I do understand that part. I don't think that this is where that money is going. I kind of also saw a lot of tweets or conversations that I had with people yesterday saying, like, what is he talking about? Improve police training and da-da-da. You can't train people to not be racist and whatever. Well, I just don't understand the logic of saying you can't teach people to not be racist. Like, I see so many posts of little kids, and they're like a black kid and a white kid hugging each other or whatever, and the line with it is nobody is born racist. So then what does that mean? That means they learned a racist behavior. Anything you can learn, you can also unlearn. I am so tired of people thinking that people, like, racism is some disease that people just have and nothing can change. I've seen racist people become not racist. I've seen even me and myself not being racist, but I used to think if you were in jail, you shouldn't even be able to watch TV or go outside or whatever, because when I was a kid and I was grounded and I got in trouble, I couldn't do none of those things. So why people that commit crimes get to do those things? That's how I used to feel. Now I am part of Adopt an Inmate. I have inmates that I write to every week. I have I do the Innocence Project and stuff like that. That literally, because I don't believe our justice system is right. And I had to learn that. I did not always feel that way. That was something I had to learn. So I think it's like silly to say that we can't teach people to not be racist, because I personally feel like the mind and knowledge is probably one of the most powerful things we have, especially in this moment. Like, Maya Angelou at best, very, very simple. When you know better, you do better. And I truly believe that education and power, or in knowledge, is power. Like, that is going to be the difference of stuff. I know we just did the Blackout Tuesday, and that was basically about taking time out and educating yourself on things of, you know, Black injustices, or they went to people and said, hey, watch movies or only post stuff that has to do with the Black culture so you learn and you whatever. I think that sitting back and listening and learning is very important. And I don't think that, like, depending on how this, like, yeah, funny, whatever, the Lambo thing, but, like, I don't think that's what this money's going to. And I think the most important statement of that was the second half, and that's the education part, because yes, I do believe that, like, I say it all the time, I don't believe in cancel culture. I do believe people can learn, and I think to say that we can't educate or give people knowledge on something, I think that what are we fighting for then? Like, what is the point of fighting for something if you think the police are always going to be the same, and you think people that are racist are always going to remain racist? Why scream for something when you feel like you're never going to get heard? Like, and that's literally the same debate as saying like, I know we talk about on the show, like, whatever people's minds are about who the GOAT is or something like that, like, they're never going to change that. If we believe that across the board, like, when it comes to, like, lives and not being knowledgeable about stuff, then I think why are we talking then? Why are we saying stuff? Like, I obviously looked at programs that are currently going on in the country with, and seeing, like, oh, well, what would this money go for? How would it help? And about 61% of police departments in the country right now even have a racial bias training. The ones that do, the 61% that does, theirs is a week or less long. Even fewer programs, which I believe is actually the best solution, have started where they only have police officers basically in districts of that community, like, that's their precinct or their district or whatever, live in that community. They're not sending people that live 50 miles away to a community in South Central or whatever the case is. They're only having police officers police an area that is part of their own community. And there's a few programs, police programs across the country, who have been trying that. This is like a new way, like, let's recruit and only recruit people to police an area that's part of their community, because then the people have faces that look like them. They have people that have been in those situations themselves, and they understand that community a little bit better. And I think that's, like, so far what I've saw is, like, the best way to do things. But this is, like I was saying, this is like a centuries old issue. It's not going to get fixed overnight. And I don't think bashing Dak for trying to do something is the way to go about it. Yes, he might not hit it on the nail, but so far nobody has, because if they had, we wouldn't have this problem right now. Nobody has got it 100% correct, because if that were true, we would not still be going through this in 2020, period, point blank. I think it's going to take a village to get this done. And in villages, there's the seamstresses who clothe everybody. There's farmers who make sure everybody's fed. There are warriors and soldiers who protect it. There's garbage men who clean it up. I don't think one job is more or less important than the other, because if the garbage man doesn't show up to work, the city gets dirty. You know, like, if the farmer stops working, nobody eats. Like, all of us need to do something. And I do believe we all have different, you know, paths in this journey. Like, some people are going to be out there protesting. Some people are going to be, you know, getting people to sign up to vote. Some people are going to be, you know, preaching to people about different things. Like, there's so many different ways. Some people are going to be burning stuff down and, like, making people see us, you know, like, there's going to be so many different options. And my thing here is, can we please stop bashing what everybody else is trying to do? It's not going to be on the mark every single time. Obviously, hopefully, this money is well used. We won't know that at this time. There's different options to do with the money. The money's not going to their pension or to help them get a Bentley to drive around in. Like, this is more so of advocating change and helping people understand an education. And I can never say education is not important, and education and knowledge is not power. So I actually don't have anything to debate with anybody about, because I'm saying what I'm saying. And I know everybody has different feelings on different things. I would really like to encourage everybody to, you know, maybe Dak ends up nailing this and hitting it out of the park, but maybe it's like, nice try again. But I like the first step of trying.
All right, Britt, thank you so much for that take. Knowledge is power, and I don't know if anybody does have anything that they would like to add or anything. I know that we are running low on time here, so Jackie or Chris, if you have anything that you'd want to mention before we wrap up, now's your chance.
I do think if, since we're pushing for education, you might want to educate yourself about the organization you're giving money to before you give them $1 million. I love that Britt said, you know, if you know better, you do better. But Maya Angelou also said, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them the first time. And I don't know if donating $1 million to an organization that originally started to hunt and bring back runaway slaves is the organization you want to continue to give money to when they continue to do these types of things. So I absolutely 100% do not agree with his position. I do agree that, yes, you need to take steps, but you need to do some research before you just take random steps with an organization that has proven time and time again that it is in fact corrupt.
He didn't say he was donating it directly to any police department, though. He just said he's donating to helping this. So he hasn't actually came out and said what organization or whatever it is, which is obviously something we need to learn and figure more out about. He just said he was committing to donating to help whatever, but it wasn't to a specific police department.
No, I'm any police department in the country. I still stand by what I said.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, but he hasn't said he was donating to the police department.
Let's hand it over to the Fumble fans. You guys, do you see what Dak's intention was behind this donation? Do you agree with Britt? Do you see things more from Jackie's perspective? Also, let us know what you think about Drew Brees' apology and the dragging that he got online. Did he deserve it? Do you forgive him? We obviously think that there is a lot more that needs to be done there with Drew. But you guys, make sure you subscribe to our channel and don't forget to hit that notification bell. We have one more thing also to mention to you guys right now. I'm getting it posted from our producer as we talk. Oh, jumped ahead a little bit there. Let's see. What does this say? LeBron says, if you still haven't figured out why the protesting is going on, why we're acting as we are, is because we're simply effing tired of this treatment right here. Can we break it down for you any simpler than this right here? And to my people, don't worry, I won't stop until I see. So this was all in response to what Laura Ingraham said. So that was his reply. So LeBron is clapping back at Laura, which I love. And let us know what you think about that. Let us know what you think about LeBron's clapback. And you guys stay safe. Have a great day. Wash your hands. Be positive. Subscribe to our channel. Give this video a thumbs up. Leave a comment below. And now for the real moment. There we go. Make sure you tune in tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. The Fumble Squad and the Fumble Ghost in the intro. We shall see you tomorrow. Bye.
AKA Chris.
Dang.
Yes.